In this lesson, you're going to learn how to update the firmware on a Pioneer CDJ-3000. I'm using the 3000, but this is very, very similar on most Pioneer DJ gear. So why would you want to update the firmware? Well, whenever new features are announced, invariably you're going to need to update the firmware. Whenever you are given or borrow or are put in front of one of these to DJ, the chances are that it might not have the firmware that's necessary for the functions that you're used to work. So it's always a good idea to know how to do this and to carry the latest firmware around with you on a USB as well. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to check the firmware on a Pioneer CDJ-3000. I'm also going to show you how to get the firmware from Pioneer DJ's website, and then we're going to install it using nothing more than a USB, probably the same one that you use for your music anyway on these units. So as ever, if you enjoy this, please do join Digital DJ Tips. We'd love to have you as our latest member. digitaldjtips.com. Join. You get a copy of our book and you also get a copy of our gear guide just for becoming our latest member, and it's free. So the first thing we want to do is check whether the unit that we have actually needs a firmware update at all. So the way to check whether the unit that's in front of you needs a firmware update is to turn it on and then go to the menu button at the top and hold this down for more than a second, and then it will switch into this view here, and here at the top it tells us the version. So this is version 1.03.005 on this unit, and then the way to check whether the firmware that's currently available is a later one than this is to go to Pioneer DJ's website, go to the support area, and then click on the firmware area for your particular unit, in this case the CDJ-3000, and we can see on here that the current firmware is version 1.11 and the firmware on the unit in front of us is 1.03. So we are looking at a newer version of the firmware online to the version that is currently installed on this machine. So it's definitely worth grabbing it and installing it. So I'm on a Mac, but it's very similar whatever you're using. I'm just going to download this to my downloads folder here, and when that's arrived, it's going to be waiting for you in that folder. And then we need to put this onto a USB in order to put it into the machine. So I've got my USB here, and then you want to drag the firmware into the root folder of your USB. So let's do that now. Here's the firmware upgrade in the downloads folder, and I'm going to drag this onto my DJ Music USB down here, and it's now sat there in the root. I can eject that and then remove it safely from the computer using an adapter, in this case, good old Apple with their dearth of good connectability in their MacBooks. So here it is, it's on here now. So in order to update it on the unit, we turn it off and then we hold down the in queue and the reloop buttons, these two here, while we turn the unit on again. And then when the unit turns on, it will say connect USB storage device to the USB port on the screen. And when it says that, we do what it says. So we connect that and then we just sit and wait and let it do its thing. And when that's finished and you see the sign firmware update is complete on the screen, you turn the power off, remove the USB, turn the power on again, and the unit is now fully updated and ready to use whatever new facilities or new features are required with this firmware. You want to check which firmware is there, then again we just hold down the utility menu button for a minute, second, and version 1.11 is now shown there to confirm that we're on the correct version. And that is how to update your firmware on a Pioneer CDJ-3000, and it's very, very similar on an awful lot of DJ gear and on Pioneer DJ gear as well. So as I said at the beginning, if you've enjoyed this and you want more hints and tips, come and join Digital DJ Tips on that URL. You get a free copy of our best-selling Amazon book on how to DJ, rock the dance floor, and you also get our latest gear guide, there it is, to help you choose DJ gear wisely. This is Phil Morse at Digital DJ Tips saying get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you again very soon.